Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Is it okay if I?
Yes.
Yep. Good. Because I'm Greek, and if I can't move, I can't talk. Actually, I'm half Greek and half German. They call me Zorba the Führer. You reminded me of a story that actually happened. Then we'll get into the meditation, but I want to share this. Do you know God has a name? It's not the name you think it is. It's art. For many years, I would take my great nieces, along with their great grandmother on their father's side, on Memorial Day to the cemetery, because that's what we did when we were kids. Remember? We'd take the flowers and go to all the various graves. So they were 6 and 4 at the time, just started Catholic school. And so the 6-year-old, take a breath, the 6-year-old said, when we got to the first grave, she says, I would like to say the prayer. And we thought that was pretty cool. So we said, okay. She says, Our Father, art in heaven. So forevermore, God's name is Art. Isn't that sweet? What I'd like to do is have our meditation first, if that's okay, and I want to preface it with just a little introduction. We're going to do 3 prayers and a mantra that will change your life. How about that? Today.
All right.
We're always in for a great life-changing event, right? So, our first prayer, and there's different energies around the different prayers, and I'll explain a little bit about the first energy. This is a very receptive kind of energy. When you're not sure where to move next and not sure what to do, we wait upon the Lord. And oftentimes that's very, very difficult. Ram Dass though says, all learning takes place between the trapezes. So when we're not sure where to go next, it's time to wait. And this prayer comes from Isaiah, verse 6, chapter 8. And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, Here am I. Send me. So this is a prayer that I like to say when I'm waiting for guidance. And so I'd like to do our meditation around this prayer from Isaiah. So I invite you to get into a comfortable position and close your eyes, if that works for you. Take a deep breath in. Feel the sacred breath coming into your body and leaving your body. And again, breathing in and exhale. And relax your body completely. Before we do the actual meditation, I'd like you to just do a gathering in portion of a meditation. So just imagine that it's a few moments ago and you're about to enter this building. And imagine that in front of you is a vase. It's a great big vase, empty, maybe waist high, maybe bigger. And it's your favorite color. And imagine that into that vase, you're going to dump all your cares and fears and worries. All your financial concerns, your work conflicts, your relationship issues. Just dump them in. This is God's face. And as you dump everything from your shoulders to God's, you may feel a little lighter, more peaceful, happier. And know that God's face is here for you anytime you want it. And as you take another deep breath in, Feel the chair beneath and behind your body. And relax into the peace and the presence of Spirit. Here am I, Lord. Here am I. What will you have me do? And imagine for a moment Abraham. Here am I, Lord. And Moses. Here am I, Lord. Lead me, guide me. Mary. Here am I, Lord. Jesus. Here am I, Lord. Not my will, but yours. Here am I, open to the will and the way of the Spirit, joyfully following. Here am I, Lord. Here am I. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Know that you are divinely led and divinely blessed. Everybody back? I don't want to come back. Isn't that fun? I have to pardon my allergies. There's a codicil, if you will, to Here Am I, Lord, that sometimes people have a fear of that. I was telling a friend of mine about it. She's a music teacher. She says, oh, I could never do that. I said, why not? She says, what if God wants me to be an accountant? I said, well, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm kind of thinking God wants you to do what you like and what you have a passion about and what you are already doing maybe, or what you want to do and what's in your mind. And Spirit just kind of opens the way that way. Here am I, Lord, for direction. And maybe you don't know, and that's okay too. You'll get direction. But don't be afraid to ask Spirit to help you. Chances are, Spirit won't ask you to do something you don't want to do. That's what your parents are for. So when you are in a receptive or a questioning kind of energy, Here Am I is a wonderful way to go. Now, with all of these prayers, it's important that, I think what I'm trying to say can most easily be said by, everybody's heard the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know the rest of that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear everywhere. So it's very important that when you ask for Spirit's guidance, you pay attention. Because a lot of times we're going so fast, and our minds are going so busy, that we fly right by the signs. We fly right by the answers. I've seen answers on a bulletin board, or on a, street sign?
Billboard.
Billboard, thank you. The outdoor bulletin board. So pay attention. Through all of these, pay attention. The next prayer that I really love, now the first one I got from Richard Levy. Remember Richard Levy? I know, Unity of Seattle.
I was just thinking about that.
30 plus years ago. Here am I, Lord. Do you know that everything you learn from birth to death, you learn from other people? That may be dead, maybe, to this life, maybe, not live here, but they wrote books, or they made movies. Everything you learn from other people. So pay attention, because stuff's going to come to you when you open up, and when you ask, it could come fast and furious. My next favorite prayer is the prayer of Jabez. Is anybody familiar with the prayer of Jabez? I love this. So Richard Levy gave me the first one. This one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, fell out of a bookshelf onto my feet. We know how that works, right? The prayer of Jabez is from 1 Chronicles, verse 4, chapter 10. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed, and enlarge my territory, and that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil." This is the only mention Jabez has in the Bible, but it's a powerhouse. Oh, that you would bless me indeed. Indeed, when you put indeed on the back of a sentence in the Bible, it's like that sentence on steroids. Indeed. Man, who remembers Rantha? The channel? He was always going, indeed. Something like that. Indeed. Oh, that you would bless me indeed. Now, in the book, it talks about how really spiritual people ask God to bless them. And I was remembering the Pope always said, pray for me. So, they know they want to get that energy. So bless me indeed. And enlarge my territory. Now, back in the old days, that was probably give me more desert. Oh, good. Preferably was part of it with oil underneath it. But for us, you can define your territory. So I started saying this maybe 2011. And it was about my business. I wanted to expand my business. So, bless me indeed, and expand my business, and that your hand would be with me, because I don't know how to do it by myself. So I'm going to trust that as things come up, Spirit will show me the way. So your hand would be with, sometimes I go like that. I feel that's what it feels like. Sometimes it feels like, here's the way, and I'm going to smooth it out for you. And that you would keep me from evil. I'm going to get out there, and there's going to be a lot of maybe strange people who aren't out for my best interests, or situations that come up. I need to know how to deal with that. That is evil for me. That's my definition. Things that are contrary to my progress. So, in 2011, I started praying this. Now, sometimes you got to plant the seeds. Or as our president made up, you got to prime the pump. Thank you. So I planted the seeds. And I have this prayer. Oh, by the way, you're going to get copies of all these prayers.
Oh, good.
So you don't have to take notes. I want you to listen first and then without writing. So I started doing this, and I had a business, and I thought, this business could be, it could be adapted for other things. And I thought about that, and I started working on it a little bit, and then one day Groupon called. And they said, you've had this business, these classes you teach. I'm a hypnotherapist, and you're doing really well with Groupon, or with Living Social, because everybody can see how many you've sold, and I sold thousands with Living Social. And they said, why don't you sign up with us, and we'll give you 75% of the money. I said, okay. I'm not the brightest woman in town, but even I get that. And they took my business nationwide. I did not know how to do that, but I did it. wait, we did it. And things came up, and they got resolved. I was kept from evil. And then that cycled down, and I rested, because it was a lot of energy. And when I got ready to cycle up again, I whipped out my prayer. And my new thing is I want to do more public speaking. So I get a call from Unity of Bremerton. And many other places. University of Washington, and on and on and on, which opens doors. And this time, I'm much more comfortable because I know I'm not alone. Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. And that your hand would be with me and that you would keep me from evil. Now this energy is much more expansive. This is, I'm ready to step out. The previous one was more receptive. This one is, I've got the energy to step out now, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go over a cliff. And if I go over a cliff, I hope it's not too high or that I will be taught to fly. The next prayer is when I am tired of waiting. I want something to happen, and I want it to happen now, and I probably know what it is. And this is from Kathy Ann Lewis at CSL in Seattle. See, you just gather it all up, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Hey Buster prayer. Hey Buster, I want it, and I want it now. Now, friends of mine will say, oh, you can't talk to God that way. And I say, you call it worse. So have I. It's the energy, and what energy you put out, you get back. And when you can say that, and you may get a result. But if you feel it, and you're really sick and tired of messing around, and waiting, okay, and maybe I've missed some signs along the way, but I'm not accountable. You are. Hey, Buster, right now. That moves some energy. And again, look at all of these three prayers. You decide which is appropriate for you depending on how you feel. Where's your energy? Does that make sense? Good. The mantra. My favorite mantra. It's very similar to Ho'oponopono. You familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay. This was taught to me, one of my teachers, Peter Navarro, who studied with the Hunas in Hawaii. But it's a little bit different take on it. If you don't know Ho'oponopono, Google it. It's an amazingly powerful meditation and prayer. This one that he kind of took from that and gave to me is a little more directed. This one I say when I really want to either disengage from someone or change my emotional attachment to someone. Now, a lot of times people say, well, I can't say that because I'm really having trouble with my daughter, but if I say it, she'll disappear. No, she won't disappear. You will change your relationship with her. And it's very simply, you say that person's name that you're ready to change your relationship with. I love you. I bless you. I forgive you. I thank you. And I now release you. Back in the 1970s, oh my God. It seemed like no time at all ago, and yet you go, oh my God, it's 40 years, it's Watergate yesterday.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, I was dating a man. We'd date for a while, and then he was making commercials all over the country, and so he'd going, and then he'd come back and he'd call, and we'd go out a little bit, and I liked him. He was a nice guy, and we kind of cared for each other. And then I found the man that became my husband, and I loved him to death, and it was, that's where I was. And then he died, and he was a columnist with the Seattle Times, so when he died, it was like everybody knew. So he died in 1986, and a few months later, Watson, my old friend, called. And I thought, well, isn't that nice? And he says, let's go have dinner. I said, okay. So we go and have dinner. And this is a man who would disappear from my life for various periods of time, which was fine at the time. After you lose your husband, you're a little fragile, shall we say, a little tender. So we go out to dinner, and he says, I think we should get married. I said, don't you think we should see a movie or something first? Get to know each other again. I haven't seen you in 7 years. That might be a good idea. And he laughed, and we had a good time, and then we said goodnight. And I thought about what he said. When you're widowed, suddenly you want to replace. And so I thought, maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. I like him. I've known him forever. He's a good guy. Got a beautiful house in Newport Hills. Maybe. So I called him the next day to further this conversation. And his assistant said, oh, hi, Katie. Oh, no, he left town this morning. He had a job out of town. He didn't mention that. Yeah, minor details. So I'm going, what? And, a little fragile with the emotions. So I get my mantra out. And when you say this mantra, you can say it between clenched teeth. Watson, I love you, I bless you, I forgive you, I thank you, and I never release you. And the more I said it, the more relaxed my jaw got. And I probably said it 50 times a day for about a week. And one morning I woke up and he was gone. From here. The energy had shifted. So if you have someone in your life who is taking free rent in your brain, my recommendation is that you say this mantra to them. Not to them. About them. Now, there is a word of caution. I did this with my father, with whom, we all have issues. So I go, Dad, I love you, I bless you, I forgive you, I thank you, and I never release you. And I said that many, many times, 3 or 4 days, and he called. And I went, no, I didn't want him here, I wanted him out there, but still changed. Doesn't work like that. Sometimes. You don't get to pick. Spirit will move it. You create the opening. Spirit will fill it as it is to be filled. And sometimes you don't get to pick. So, 3 prayers and a mantra. Which will you pick today to change your life? Here am I, Lord. The prayer of Jabez. Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, and your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil. Hey, Buster! I love you, I bless you, I forgive you, I thank you, and I now release you. And with those thoughts, and you can, as I said, pick up copies of this on your way out, I would like to make one more small announcement that I just got inspired to make. I brought some CDs and my copies of my book with me. If you choose to purchase any, 10% will be tithed to the technology fund. So I want to thank you again for inviting me. I've had a great time, and I hope your prayers change your life.
Thank you.